Hello, everybody. Welcome to Prop Live. Ta-da! This is your weekly Q&A show where we take your prop and custom making questions and answer them. I'm Bill Duran from Punished Props. I'm hanging out in my basement with R2D2 in the back. There he is. Boop. And we have a guest this week. Hooray! Hey, everybody. We got Matt from Vorpal Props down in Texas.
Yep, where the barbecue runs like water.
That is, that's true. And what else do they have down there? The Tex-Mex. I hear that's the best place to go if you want.
We have that. We have national embarrassment too, but I won't get into
that. Matt runs a little outfit called Vorpal Props. If you're on the internet, and if you're watching our show, then you are. Head on over to Facebook and look up Vorpal Props to see the stuff Matt's been working on, like this flute.
Yes, I actually have that with me behind me.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy looking flute there. You said it's going with something for God Save the Queen fashion.
Yeah, it's a Dynasty Warriors 8 costume. The character's name is Zenji, I believe. I've got it.
There are 8 Dynasty Warriors out.
Oh, apparently Japan can't get enough of them. I have a piece here. I don't know how well it photographs because it was really difficult photographing this because the gradient doesn't like to show in a lot of the lighting. So,
what's the main material and techniques you use for that guy?
That one's actually mostly a multi-part lathe project. I used PVC with resin in it, but I didn't want it to be super heavy, like a solid resin pour. So I actually kind of did this weird little technique where I put a piece of PVC and then a larger diameter PVC around it, and then poured resin around it and knocked the internal PVC and the resin out so I could lathe it. The tip is also the actual head is vacuum formed styrene as well. I made a buck and threw that together. There's some epoxy sculpt and Sintra detailing on it. Resin gems. I ended up making like a flower mold and molding that and adhering it for some of the weird complex curves and then just cleaning it up and stuff. So
that's really neat. You don't see a lot of people, prop makers, making flutes.
No.
Mostly swords and guns, usually.
It was exciting to do something different until I remembered how much I hate doing intricate dealing on concave or like on curved surfaces.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's super neat. Do you have anything else you've been working on lately? You want to?
Well, as of, I'm gonna go grab this real quick. I didn't bring it closer. I'm starting to actually do some more personal projects finally, because I've had an issue with that. I printed out a vector that I designed last night for a Scent Sword from Drakengard. And then I have this weird anime katana / bass guitar from Show by Rock that I'm going to do because I really got into Show by Rock, and all of the characters just have ridiculous musical instruments.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a musical theme.
Oh yeah.
And you did that axe, right? That
Oh yeah, I've got that back here too. That was just my Texas Renaissance Festival little project.
I was thinking the one with the guitar on it.
Oh yeah, that was a client commission though, so that's one's already been off. So cool. It's from the same series, Show by Rock.
Oh yeah, okay. I have not watched that one yet.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'd recommend it, but I enjoy it. It's by Sanrio, so it's that kind of the thing you don't say out loud in public that you got into.
Fantastic. Cool, man. Sounds like you got a whole lot of awesome stuff going on. You have I mean, it's kind of the end of convention season right now, but do you have anything you're looking forward to?
Actually, we're not too bad off. I've got IckyCon at New Year's. You were there last year.
Yes, so. I was. It was a lot of fun.
And then we have PAX South later that month. So that's that. And then I think I have it is kind of a hiatus, but I think I'm going to supplement something in between those months, like going for an out of state. Yeah. I've been wanting to do Fanime for a while, or possibly SakuraCon.
Hey, that one's pretty cool. I hear it's awfully fun up here in Seattle.
Yeah.
Saying.
I've heard good things about it for years and years. And I like to branch out and meet new people. So I'm always down for something out of state. So.
Cool. Well, we were just, it was really weird. Brittany and I were just at Autodesk University, which is a convention in Las Vegas. And our convention experience so far has been anime and video games and comic conventions. Industry professional conventions, very different, like super different. First of all, they're way more expensive. But the main focus of Autodesk University is that you learn stuff. You go to classes and stuff. You pay through the nose for it. But also free food and booze just everywhere.
That's dangerous for me.
It's a much older crowd. I think the base level ticket was like $350 for like 3 days. So there's a little bit of a barrier to entry, but if you're looking to have a good time.
I was going to say, that almost recouped my Dragon Con drinking cost.
Oh, yeah. Some of the cool stuff. So we were down there with our costumes posing, playing model, kicking off our model career. And we got to go hang with the Autodesk people, and they had artists drawing us. So here's Brittany's Vex costume.
That's really cool.
Yeah, Matt Fletcher drew that, and then he also drew. Let me see. He drew my Shaxx. I'm pretty enamored with this one. Let's see here. There it is.
That is. I'd hang that on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, me too. It was really great. They were showing off their sketching software and having us pose for them. And we were both like a draw for the booth because people would, there were a couple of stormtroopers, but other than that, we were the only people in costume. So we were kind of like a draw for the booth, but then they had big screens where they were drawing us, and he knocked that out in like an hour. Just bonkers. And then the last one I want to show off here, this guy, Chris Uminga, who I didn't realize until after I talked with him. I bought art from him like 5 years ago. He did another Shaxx in sort of his cartoony style, which is pretty neat.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
Need to get back into Destiny some. It's been since the update.
Sparrow racing, if you're interested in sparrow racing, which I found out I am terrible at, but that's a thing now too.
And I like driving terribly in Sparrows. I don't know if I race well in them.
Yes. Well, cool. That's what we've been up to. If you're like ever thinking of branching out, you could bring Ron Weasley to Autodesk University. Kind of more of a casual.
I'll grow my hair back out and do that.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I have this. I have to make sure everyone gets to see this.
I hope it's my. Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite Dragon Con moments of all time.
Not only did we get a selfie, we got busted taking the selfie.
Yes, we did, and
I somehow look worse from the side than I actually do from the front. It's a small miracle.
That's like, if people ask me why Dragon Con is my favorite, I just show them that picture. I'm like, just go to Dragon Con.
So just quick shout out to the stream. Thank you. I'm glad that I can inspire you to work on a Shingen Crimson Z guitar as well.
Awesome. So. Yes, definitely. Cool. So one more thing before we start grabbing questions, everybody. Matt, do you follow the fine folks over at Organic Armor?
Actually, I don't think I have.
So these guys
arrange that though.
These guys are really great. They work with they say a combination of latex, fiber, and acrylic for the armor that they do. So here's their page. They do really cool. I've been following them for years. And what's great is they've started offering courses on how they build all of their stuff. These are like in-depth online courses. they've started selling them, and it's really cool. We'll have a link, obviously, to the site in the description of this video, but it's organicarmorarts.com/courses. And for the next month, we have a deal that'll get you $20 off. It's Punish Props 15, all one word. And you'll get a deal on that. And it's an affiliate deal, so we get a little bit out of that too, which is great. So those of you watching at home, definitely go check out Organic Armor. Like them on Facebook at the very least, because they're amazing. And then check out their courses. There you go. That's all I've got. You have anything else you need to add before we start taking some questions, or Matt?
No, probably not. I don't have to
all right.
Throw any shout outs or
put you on the spot. The first one actually sort of ties back in. April Martin wants to know, I was going to ask how you met, but the picture tells me everything. Speaking of this picture right here.
Oh, also it's April's birthday, so happy birthday, April.
Yay. Happy birthday. She shares a birthday with my little brother, who is at home with shingles. Poor guy. I'm pretty sure the first time we met was probably at Dragon Con.
I think we were really drunk too.
Yes,
so.
That is correct.
Unless you met me before I met you, because all I remember is the first time I remember meeting. Oh no, we met at the Mass Effect meetup very briefly, because I had like it's like the orange and black, because I just liked that color scheme and didn't think I would end up being Tony the Tiger Shepherd when I actually put it together. So, but then I think we met later. You were really drunk, and you remembered me better than I remembered you, because I knew of your work, but I didn't remember meeting in person. So, but it was Dragon Con. So.
Yes, it was. Dragon Con is really like the nexus of most of my relationships.
I have met a lot of awesome people through that con. It always brings me back.
Rocketman Props in the chat says, don't I also share a birthday with my little brother? Technically, my twin brother is my younger brother by 2 minutes, but we have a third brother, and he is a couple years younger, and he was born on December 10th. Cool. All right, let's grab another question. This one's from Old Gamers Rule. He's working on a Lawgiver from Dread, 2012 Dread. And he's building it around a Glock 17 BB, I guess a BB gun. And he's looking for suggestions for attaching the styrene to the actual gun.
Well, I mean, I always say super glue for any, because I work with styrene a lot. But I would think the only thing that might happen is with the plastics that they use, sometimes they have like protective coatings on the surface. And so what I would try doing is sanding the gun surface, and then doing a test with super glue to see if it will hold to it. Because usually that's what it is it's just there's a protective covering on it with the plastics that they use. I think it's like ABS, but I'm not
right.
1000% sure.
Sanding is usually a pretty good bet. There's also this website called thistothat.com. It's one of my favorite websites.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to attach, let's say, metal to plastic, you hit Let's Glue, and it gives you some options. So there's another thing for you. So there you go. Old Gamers Rule. A couple of suggestions for you. Again, hard to go wrong with super glue.
Oh, yeah. That's my go-to. If they sold it in like 5-gallon jugs, I would buy it like that.
They do sell it. Hold on.
Well, I'm learning something today.
They do sell it in 8-ounce jugs. So I have this big guy here.
Yes.
And I just use this to refill my other one there. So there's that.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. All right. Here's one from Lee. Do you have any tips on adjusting scale for oversized reference models? Hold on. Excuse me.
I think this one was on the page a bit earlier, right?
Yeah. For example, he's doing Jim Raynor's suit from StarCraft, and his shoulders are way too far apart for his arms to be coming out of them. I think it, like, technically in StarCraft, like your human arms aren't necessarily like your elbows go to the shoulders. and your forearms are in the biceps, and then the fingers on those are mechanical, whatever. Yeah. So they're a bit like Jim Raynor's just in there like this, I think.
Yeah, that's I think that's an unfortunate one where you just have to really do a judgment call and kind of like I like to vector things out, so I would definitely do mock-ups, several mock-ups to see what looks best, because basically, like Bill's talking, you're either going to walk around like a scarecrow and have like fake arms dangling so you can be perfectly accurate, or you're going to have to unfortunately fight with unrealistic anatomy designs, which I've dealt with a lot, because I find myself doing a lot of anime stuff, and I think video game models are bad. At least sometimes they have a base human going in that thing.
Yeah. The big thing with shoulders is you may have to just move them. Basically, they won't go around your shoulder. Mm-hmm. They'll be resting on top of your shoulder to add that bulk out there. Again, like you were saying, though, like mock-ups help a lot, and a lot of trial and error. What I like to do is get that. Here's a good example. I was working on my Diablo 3 costume, my what are they called? Crusaders. There we go. Yeah. I was working on my Crusader armor, and there's a collar and then the shoulders, and those were attached to the collar. I put it all on, and I sort of loosely hot glued everything together, and then I looked in the mirror to see how the profile looked, see how my silhouette looked. And what's interesting with those shoulders is if they tilt up too much, it's starting to look like a Gundam. and like you don't want them to droop down too much. So I sort of played with where they lived on my shoulders, where they were going to rest, so that they got the right angle, so that they gave enough bulk, and so that I had a good silhouette. But it was all lots of trial and error. Yeah,
I've when I do foam armors, I've had to remake pieces a couple of times too, because I'm just like, just try it, and then I'm like, oh, this doesn't actually look as good now, or this isn't fitting properly. I just need to remake it. And that's something that's really hard for a lot of people to accept they're going to have to do, is remake a part of something, which is actually a really important thing to do when you want to make your stuff look really good, is to not be afraid to remake stuff.
Yes, indeed. There you go, Lee. Good luck with that. That's a really ambitious build. That was one of the first things I tried to make, and I gave up after a day. Hey Patch in the chat says that he's got some super glue from Japan and some from Germany. He wonders if I collect super glue, and I do. I have some super glue from the Philippines. I like collecting materials from around the globe. I have a buddy of mine. For one Christmas, he gave me a whole pack of sanding sponges because I use them a lot. And then he was in, he was in Korea, and he was in Mexico, and each of those places he bought a sanding sponge.
Yeah,
it's like this ongoing thing now. I get sanding sponges from around the globe.
But now you're pretty much stuck with it. They got you the starter collection.
Yes, definitely. But yes, hey Patch, if you have German and Japanese super glue, then that's awesome. I imagine it's exactly the same. It's all cyanoacrylate, but that's fine. It's the packaging, the really neat packaging, that counts.
Right.
All right, here's one from Jennifer. Let's see here. I recently looked up and ordered the free Novacolor Paint sample. Good on you. That's awesome. I was wondering if you have tried the Nova paints yet. If you have, what's your opinion of them? I have tried them. Matt, do you have a favorite like acrylic paint brand? What do you usually go with?
I actually stay away from acrylic a lot of the time. I tend to stick to rattle cans, model paints, and now that I'm getting into airbrushing, I've started messing a lot with all-clad metallizing lacquers and stuff.
Yeah, those are great.
That's what the flute gradient was there. So I'm trying to, but I'm still learning my airbrush. So
yeah. So for the acrylics, those Novacolors are great. They're really good for foam armor. That's what I use them for. I was down in Frank Ippolito's shop a few months back, and that's what it wasn't my choice. One of the other guys who is way better at painting than me, he was like, "Hey, let's use these paints," and we got these giant buckets of Novacolor. They cover really well. They stay really flexible for foam armor, and they're relatively inexpensive. So I say give them a go. And I have somewhere over here, hold on. Nope. This is what Jennifer was talking about, this sample sheet. You can order these from them, and it shows you an actual dot of every one of their colors so that you don't have to guess. So if you're going to order it online, you're like, I need that color right there, which is pretty amazing. And they have just a crap load of really amazing colors.
Bless color Pantone sheets.
Yes. There you go, Jennifer. Novacolor is awesome. In the chat, I saw a couple people asking about scaling Inkscape blueprints and printing them on multiple pages. Do you have a process for printing out your big blueprints, Matt?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you can see it on mine. I use Illustrator because I have one of the older versions of the Creative Suite that went free or something. So I haven't tried Inkscape. But if you look closely, I'm not sure if the glare is like catching it or not. I actually just overlap the pieces and then tape them together when I do that. So if I have to print it on 6 or 7 pieces, I do that. I also use cardstock a lot too because it's way more durable. I always highly recommend that because that also helps me a lot printing them out so then I can see, oh, hey, maybe this was too big or maybe this was too small. Yeah. Sometimes scaling, I've started
with the blueprints that I draw for files that other people will use. I've started designing, like outputting a giant PDF that's full scale, but then splitting them into pages so people can print them on a letter size printer and then cut them out and glue them together. It's a lot more work to do it that way, but it seems to be pretty useful for folks. But usually when I'm working with mine, I take my full size vector thing and I just go to Kinko's and they print it full size. It's like 3 feet wide by like 4 feet long. They'll do no problem on cheap paper, black and white. It's like $3 to print out. I usually get a couple of them printed just because why not? Double to $6 is totally worth it. But I've got like a ton of blueprints over there that were printed that way, and they're just gigantic and they're really cheap. So I highly recommend doing it your way is really great, and I've done that for a bunch of projects. But if you have a full-size one already, just go get it printed at Kinko's.
I would definitely go with Bill on that. My problem is 9 times out of 10, I just print things at random hours, and I'm right there. My printer's right there. I can't remember to do it during the business hours. It's like 3 a.m. and I really want to work on this.
That's usually when I end up just printing it out in pieces. Let's see here. Suzanne wants to know, how would you go about making the Hunter's Void bow from Destiny? Talking about doing resin and putting lights in it. Basically, it's a giant translucent purple bow.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of the screenshots.
I have this person here did a bow. All right, this is perfect. So Valkyrie Studios, if you look her up on Facebook, you can find it. She did a bow. It's not completely transparent. Let me see if I can find a picture. But
the one that won that recent prop contest, right?
Yes, and well deserved.
Beautiful.
So the end of it there, the green part is cast resin with LEDs in it, and you can actually cast the LEDs right in resin. Once it cures, it's fine; it won't short anything out. But you would imagine, Matt, you probably have to make a pretty big mold of your entire bow if the whole thing has to be cast.
Yeah.
Or at least half and half.
I've never done it personally, so don't go off my words of it. But I had a friend do something similar, but she actually slush cast the resin too, so you could do a clear slush cast, so it's not.
That's a little bit trickier.
I think that's really tricky.
It wouldn't necessarily have to be transparent. Yeah. Something like Smooth Cast 325.
Yeah.
We did those bottles, those Nuka-Cola bottles, and those were translucent. And if you put a purple in there, you could totally slush cast that in a mold to make it a little bit lighter.
Yeah, and you don't really want it to be completely see-through. You're probably going to want it to actually be opaque because the way light diffracts anyway. If it's clear, it's going to be like a light shining through like a window. But if it's just stuff. Actually, I have a really stupid example of that right here in my own bedroom. I got these really awesome little LED color change mason jars.
Hey.
And so you can, there's like $2 at the grocery store, but they're fantastic. And I love shopping for discount props. You probably can't see the colors changing, but if you see it, it's overexposed, but it's opaque. It's actually a white opaque, and that's what gives the light such a great diffusion throughout the piece. So.
Yes, indeed. So there you go, Suzanne, I believe. Yeah, Suzanne. Maybe this is a really great chance for you to start getting into molding and casting if you haven't already. But that would be cool. If you do, man, that would be a really great project. I'd love to see how that turns out. So good luck to you. And Second Nature Effect says pressure cast to remove the bubbles. If you slush cast it, then that's not, you don't really have to do the bubble thing. But if you do cast it solid, bubbles can be an issue. Also, getting a pressure chamber big enough to hold a bow in it can be a problem. So there are. It's a challenging thing, Suzanne. You've set yourself up a challenging proposition, but I believe in you. So if you do figure it out, let me know how you did it. All right, let's grab another one here. This one comes from Mike. Let's see here. He says a friend recently purchased a prop that turned out to be painted EVA foam versus PVC or Worbla. Unfortunately, it bends easily and cracks where it's been painted. Is there any way to help protect the paint that's already been done? Boy, I'll tell you what. If I was in that situation, I would repaint it, and that's just me.
Yeah, that's unfortunately probably the best advice I would have there too.
The problem is that if the base is going to crack, anything you put over it, no matter how flexible it is also going to want to crack. So you'll either have to sand most of the paint off or use like paint thinner to remove a bunch of it and then repaint it. Like I was saying before, those Novacolors are really great flexible acrylic paints to use for that kind of project.
Yeah, foam likes to bend, and most paints don't like to bend. So that's just the general issue.
Matt, what do you usually use to paint and or seal your foam over? What's your favorite?
Right now, I've been getting into frog spit. It's a vinyl sign sealant. It costs about as much as I can't think of the name of it now. The spray that people normally use to seal foam. Plastidip. I keep wanting to say Wonderflex for some reason. I was trying Frog Spit. It's a vinyl protectant, so they use it for outdoors for sealing vinyl signs. And it's actually about the same price. It goes on clear, but it covers really well.
Frog Spit. This is cool. There's a frog. He's got goggles on and a snorkel. Why would he need a snorkel? He's a frog. I don't know.
Right. So I'm not... Like I said, so that one was pretty good. And honestly, if you get it really sealed well, it'll take to almost any paint. So, I just use a lot of rattle cans. I love testers, lacquers to coat on things. One of my favorite little pieces here is part of my Zale armor that I made back in 2013. That's not foam, though. That's a vacuum formed styrene. But graphite dust, testers, lacquers. Oh man, I just love the way those things look.
Awesome. So there you go, Mike. Unfortunately, it sounds like you have a bit of a project ahead of you. So good luck and use more flexible paints. Let's see here. We got all the questions from earlier. If you guys are watching live and you're on the event page, there's a Q&A app going. You can submit your questions there. It'll pop up on my screen, and then we will answer them. Like this one from Mentia Sente. Totally slaughtered that. It's cool. Gonna roll with it. Let's see here. Not prop related, or maybe. I love your narrated tutorials, and I would like to know what microphone model you use. And I'd like to get a good mic for future videos, but I'm lost, and yours sound great. Well, there are a lot of really great options out there for audio. There's no one best option. But I will say I'm glad you're interested in upping your audio game, because that makes a much better difference, much bigger difference than video when it comes to like tutorial stuff where people have to understand you. I use a Tascam DR05. It's about $100. I think maybe like 80 actually. It's a handheld digital audio recorder. It's got a microphone right on it. So like some of my videos, like I'll be talking and the microphone is literally here, just out of frame. But I also bought a, just from Radio Shack, just the cheapo lavalier mic. It's got a little button cell battery on it. Plug that into the same audio recorder and put that on my lapel. And that's usually how I record my narrated videos. And the sound is, it's not the best, but for like $100, it's a pretty good solution. Whatever camera or microphone your camera has is crap. Don't use that. Yeah, so there you go. In fact, a while back, I did a live stream video where I recorded a whole thing from the shop here. So that's worth checking out. There you go. Matt, you ever do any audio video stuff? Yeah.
I actually was discussing that earlier this week. I want to get a junk PC and start doing more streams and just discussing stuff while I work, because I'm not as active in tutorials or anything like that, but I'll occasionally do panels and stuff, and I really like sharing what I know with people, because I think prop making is something everyone can get into.
Yes.
And a lot of people tell themselves they can't get into it, and they kind of come up with a myriad of excuses. And one of my goals is, I'm always like, if you talk to me, I'm like, no, you can do this too, trust me. I know people who have been doing it less time than me that are just phenomenal. You know, it's just going about it the right way and just being focused on it.
Yes, sir. All right, there you go. Hey, this one's from my buddy Kevin. Let's see here. Kevin says, do you have any crazy fail turned success stories to share regarding props and costumes? Similar to when Harrison's shield paint job started cracking and he turned it into something awesome. That's a good one. That's a really good question, Kevin. I can't really, I'm gonna have to think about it for a moment. Do you have any disasters though that you can think of off the top of your head, Matt?
I can. It might have even been posted to my page within the last few weeks. Granted, this is a really old one and it's really stupid, but I got my start with cons. I'd only do like one costume a year, but I always do something super ambitious. Like I always tried something really difficult for my skill level every year. And one year I just procrastinated. I got to playing Pokemon Pearl religiously.
As one does.
And so I'm like, I got this great idea. I'm going to cosplay a Pokeball. And so I tried to make this Pokeball like costume, and it only goes up to like my torso. And I made it out of cardboard. And this was back before I learned how to use Bondo properly. So I like try to put Bondo on it. I try to make it a round shape. And I have like 2 days before the con I'm going to try to wear this at. And thing's horrifying. I spray painted it. It looks awful. It was full of fumes. I probably could have killed myself in that thing, or at least been really high huffing paint while I was wearing it. But the thing that was really funny was it ended up being such an awful costume. It was hilarious, and everyone just fell in love with it at that con. And I had so much fun in this really terrible looking costume, just because it was so bad, and everyone was having such a fun time with how bad this costume was, and just, you know, Pokemon in general. I think my favorite moment in it is there's a part where, because I made a really terrible Pikachu mask to go with it after a while. Like I just gave up.
Well, of course, yeah.
And I was walking in a dealer's room, and there was like a whole group of Team Rocket cosplayers with Giovanni. And I'm just like walking around, and I'm like, hey, this will be a great photo op. So I kind of start meandering towards them, and the Giovanni just doesn't break character, and he just points over at me and he just screams, "Get Pikachu!" And so I'm walking towards them, and suddenly about like 10 Team Rocket grunts are running at me. So I just turn around and I just start hauling it, and I close my Pokeball like a clamshell, and I'm running, and I hear like all these Pokeballs bouncing off my shell while I'm just running in terror. It was sometimes really bad costumes are some of the most fun too. So
yeah, it's great.
You know.
My wife Brittany is in the chat. She reminded me of a pretty good one. I was fortunate enough to get one of Harrison's Valkyrie rifle kits.
Oh,
And it's I love my favorite gun in that game, and I think I was getting ready for PAX East a couple of years ago. I had my Mass Effect armor, and I wanted to paint that gun for PAX East, and I wasn't really rushing too much, but time was certainly a factor. And to put all the pieces together, like to put the stock on, I drilled a couple of holes, and I was putting aluminum pegs in there to register it, so it was really, really sturdy. So I was drilling these holes through the stock, and the drill went right through it, right out, and then right back in to a different part of the stock. Just obliterated it. So, and here I am like, oh my God, I'm just like inventing new curse words. So I cleaned it up a little bit. I can't remember what I tried to do. But eventually when I painted it, I took those holes and I took fiberglass cloth and super glue and made a space duct tape, or like a space Band-Aid for my gun, like it had been repaired. Instead of like hiding the flaw, I accentuated it. Yeah. So the super glue made it really, really rigid. It soaked into the fiberglass really well, and I made this sort of bandage thing. Painted it silver because I imagine the space duct tape would be silver. And it looks awesome. It looks like I couldn't have planned it any better to look that way, but it looks real world worn, like it's been fixed, because it totally was. Yeah, so that's my disaster turned success story there. Good question, Kevin. Thank you. All right. I think if I do Mass Effect again, if I do Mass Effect again.
We all say if Andromeda comes out, we're all going to be like, pretty much make the entire weapon library between the collective prop builders.
The next Mass Effect gun I make for myself will be painted blue, and I'm going to put a space Band-Aid on it, just to keep the trend going. Okay, this one here is from Fort Knox Props. He says, I'm working on Warrior Tier 2, Battle Gear of Wrath. That's awesome, from World of Warcraft. And I'm curious if either of you have any tips for building a breastplate that will still allow me to move somewhat freely. What do you say, Matt? I'm going to look up a reference picture.
Yeah, I'd have to see the picture, but also at the same time, the thing with chest plates, I find, is that 9 times out of 10, you almost kind of want them like a vest. Like you want like a shoulder harness, your chest piece, a way to get in and out, preferably from like the side or something. And you're going to want it to actually have some flexibility when it comes to the abdomen, because
that's going to be challenging with this one here.
With chest. Now, I know that vinyl over foam is a real popular method too. I would almost recommend maybe trying to do that, like do fabric for the abdomen section, and then foam for the like EVA for the chest section. So that way you've got something that actually works with you and like the flexibility. Because
that's how I did my first Destiny costume, because I made more than one.
It's either that, or if you could segment out the like the abdomen somehow, but the design doesn't look like it's as comfortable for that.
Yeah, you could do cloth for the lower abdomen part, and the way I did it was I had it dye sublimated the print for it, and it looked really great. There's gradients painted on that part, so it looks like it's got some dimensionality to it, but it is totally flat. And then you can make the torso part on top, like you said, a more rigid foam material. Something else you can do, and this is what I did for my Mass Effect armor. The torso, the bottom abdomen part is also foam, but it tucks under, and it just hangs from elastic under the chest part. But when I bend over, it can actually slide up and into it. This.
Yeah, that's a great thing. If you can do joints somehow so that the abdomen section is not directly connected to the chest, that is
so I mean factors. That's this particular armor here, that would be a little challenging to do, but I bet with a whole bunch of trial and error you could do that. And then I usually like to be able to get out of my armor in the armpit area, because if I have to add a seam there, usually you don't notice it because my arms are over it. It's generally what I do.
And Yeah, that's the thing, because I like to be self-reliant when I can with armors. I've started to focus a lot more on the structure, so that way I can get in and out of them myself, and it's not like trying to climb out of your armor, because I've had moments like that. I think
where you have to ask a kind stranger at Dragon Con to help you pee. Speaking of how Matt and I met, all right, thank you, Fort Knox Props.
The Mass Effect meetup got a little too turned.
All right, here's one from William. I actually get this one an awful lot. William wants to know if I've ever thought about making a Blade Runner blaster. Yes, because I'm a prop maker, and every prop maker thinks a lot about the Blade Runner gun. It's a fact. It's a rite of passage. You have to consider building Deckard's gun from Blade Runner. How about you, Matt? Do you have a movie gun? What of the like sort of like when you go to the RPF, there's a handful of space guns that are rampant. You know, the Blade Runner gun being one of them. Which one of those would you say is your favorite?
If we're talking movies, that's actually difficult because I don't watch as many movies. My problem is most of mine are like video game related guns. So I'm over here like, you know, like the I think like there was a BFG redesign from id that they put in Rage, which no one played, which is ironic now that Mad Max is so popular because it was like the most awesome Mad Max game ever. That's probably one of my real big ones. Stuff from Fallout. I don't know why I haven't done. I don't know, man. Like movies are ruined for me too. Like the more I learn about prop building, the more I will just watch scenes and try to dissect how they made things. Because actually, the closest thing to a gun, like I pointed out before, is this is actually the only movie prop I've made. I loved Pacific Rim, you know, and just legacy effects if you're out there listening. But you know, so that was a real big project for me and a personal triumph because I was just like, I love all the suits from Pacific Rim. So
I am right there with you. William, if you're looking for a treasure trove of guns from movies, head on over to imfdb.org, the Internet Movie Firearm Database, and they have links to like here's a featured article on the movie Reindeer Games, and that's boring because those are real guns. What's cool is you can look up, let's say, movies over here in the categories, and it'll list a bunch of movies. So let's see. Oh, these are all names. These aren't movies. These are subcategories. Indiana Jones. I want a space movies. Anyway, you could look up a movie. And my computer is choking at this website apparently, but basically,
well, if they got Peter Jackson on there, they probably have some of the District 9 stuff.
But basically, what's great about that website is you can look up a gun from a movie. So like the Deckard's gun there, and it will show you if the original prop was built off of a real gun, it'll show you that gun. So what's great nowadays is you could go buy a toy version of that gun or an airsoft version of that gun, and then you have a great platform to build it yourself, to build on top of it. So it was imfdb.org. We will definitely link to that in the subscription or in the below in the description, and check it out. But yes, TLDR, totally would love the Blade Runner pistol. There you go. Thank you, William. Next one comes from Linda, and she wants to know, would you have a recommendation for materials when making the power armor frame from Fallout 4? I'm hoping to make making the armor pieces in EVA so that they can be interchangeable, but I'm worried about strength and durability. That is challenging. You want to go to Jarman Props.
Just plug there.
We go. We were actually just talking. Matt and I were just talking about this earlier.
Yeah. And honestly, EVA is what I would say was the go-to.
Yeah, it's challenging though. If you want to build the frame and have it so that you can take the pieces off and put them back on, that is a super ambitious build. You could definitely do it in EVA, but you're going to have so many moving parts. Some of them are going to have to be more rigid. So you were talking about Sintra, I think you like that.
I like Sintra. Actually, my favorite armor making is usually vacuum forming, truth be told, because styrene's cheap and it's durable. And then when you have armor pieces that weigh like, you know, an ounce or two, you can actually just clip them with magnets, which is always amazing.
Yes. So, but anyway, if you are looking to follow a similar build, if you go to Jarman Props on Facebook, he's working on, like, he's legit engineering that thing. So
yeah,
that's going to be super duper in depth. He's just working on the all the mechanical stuff for it. So just stay about a week behind Eric and just copy him. Just copy him.
Every time he posts an update, just recreate it.
Yeah, are you kidding? That's what I'm going to do when I want my power.
I'm just glad that they really incorporated that there was a fabric undersuit in between so that the joints make more sense instead of like a lot of the fictional ones that have metal joints and things that don't really bend in real life.
Right. Yeah, and if you're in Fallout and you take all of the armor pieces off the frame, there is like a human-shaped frame under there, and you actually have to, like, that's the thing that blew me away. Like, I don't even use the power armor in the game very much, but when you go and you turn the thing and the whole back of it opens and your character climbs into it, I was like, it really works, you guys.
This is a real thing.
Oh my god. The arms, like just like we were saying with Jim Raynor, the hands are actually further than your hands. I think Eric is designing those like gripper hand things so that
worst case, strip some of those children toys. They're just like the grabbers. It's the same mechanic.
It really is. Yeah, that's really great. That's an ambitious build, and good luck, Linda. But it's definitely going to be an amalgamation of different materials. For me, the outermost materials I would probably do out of foam. But all the structural stuff on the inside are going to have to be a little more creative, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a styrene skeleton or something if you get into vacuum forming. That's pretty rigid if you use a high enough gauge. So
yeah. Good luck, Linda. And that's definitely a project. If you start making progress on that, let us know so that we can see. I want to see it. All right, let's see. Next one comes from Sam, our buddy Sam over at Bio Cosplay. He says, when making props, what amount of inaccuracies are you okay with? Or do you always strive for 100% accuracy? No exceptions. Sam, who I believe just made I'm going to go find it. He was just working on a 10mm pistol from Fallout.
Yeah, that's actually a project I was considering revisiting because I made one out of like styrofoam a long time ago, like styrofoam and craft foam.
There it is, right there. It's all EVA foam, looking pretty good.
Yeah, I saw that. That's actually looking real sharp.
Yeah. So Matt, how nitpicky are you about accuracy?
100% probably. But the problem is it's more of a compulsion. I have a very difficult time leaving details off once I've acknowledged a detail is on something. So, like if I'm like on a deadline and there's like some really minor little thing I feel I can leave off, I will. But my problem is even if I tell myself it's okay not to add this detail, I'm going to try to walk away from that project. And then I'm literally going to walk back over 15 minutes later and start making that piece I told myself I wasn't going to put on it. So
I'm a lot more forgiving when it comes to that, which is probably why I'm so prolific. I have I get to about 95%, and I realize that the next 5% is going to take me just as long as the first 95%. So I'm like, it's done, and it's got to get out the door. Then again, though, my 95% is probably a much because I do this
99%.
Yeah, but it's because I do this professionally. That's kind of my jam. But every single piece that goes out the door, there are things about it that I know I wish I could do again. It's just sort of the nature of the beast.
I know. It's for me. It's really hard not to for some reason. It's once I've noticed it, I really can't. I can't for some reason. It's like when I don't sand something well enough. Like if I'm like, oh, I can just stop sanding this. It's smooth enough, and then I'll
You can never stop sanding. You're never done
You
sanding.
can't. You're like, just one more. Oh God! 2 hours later.
Real quick.
Oops! I wet sanded this.
Yeah. in the chat, Second Nature Effects posted, a link to the Thingiverse. They're claiming wearable power armor from Fallout 4, and there's a 3D model. I'm always wary when I see 3D websites like Thingiverse or Shapeways, where they show a picture of the model and not the printed piece. So I'm always just like, that has it actually been printed? I don't know. And I can tell from this picture that this, like this helmet, for example, is extremely low poly. This would not print well. So just keep that in mind, guys. When you just because you see a file on the internet, that would print like crap. And it's a whole helmet. You would have to go in and split it up. You would have to go in and redetail it. I
think the thing I don't like is the low poly is you're going to have to fix every single one of those contours.
It's very likely that was ripped from the video game. I don't want to suggest that this person did not model it themselves. Maybe they did. But it's just likely that it was pulled from the video game files. And those files are not meant to be 3D printed, unfortunately. So don't just... just because the file's out there, don't automatically assume that 3D printing could just happen. Let's see here. Rocket Man Prop says, speaking about wet sanding, do you do anything special to remove wet sanding sludge from a prop before molding? I just rinse it off with water.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Maybe gently wipe it down.
Yeah. Everything. I kind of, when I'm wet sanding, I just do that as I go anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sludge. And then I keep all that sludge in a jar. I sell it on Etsy. Not true.
Just like the Marriott carpet.
Which I bought some. Did you buy? I have a little square.
I did not. I guess I should have.
Some dude, I hope he made $1 million because I sent him 10 of those dollars to buy a little square of the Marriott carpet. I got it. It was super gross. I put it in a Ziploc bag and threw it in a drawer. But I have it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, another one. I can't remember who that last question was from, but here we go. This one's from William. Let's see here. He's talking about a gun. Oh, that gun. They call it that gun from Fallout New Vegas. It is basically the gun from, here we go, Deckard's gun. Showing a picture. Boop.
Is it? Yeah, I was going to say. The New Vegas, but that gun is not. Oh.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So this is, let's see. He bought a toy that was pretty close, and then he modified it. That's pretty great. Yeah, but they totally. I love that kind of Easter egg in a game like Fallout New Vegas, where they're like, it's that gun, and everyone sees it. And you know what gun it is.
It's also. I played Fallout for a long time. It's also reminiscent of like the old FMJ 223 gun they had in Fallout 1 that was just basically like a 22 rifle turned into a pistol. So that's what I always assumed that was when I saw it. But then again, Fallout's always drawn a lot of inspiration from a lot of fandoms.
Yes, they certainly have. Oh man, I keep thinking I want to make that railway rifle, and I want it. And I want to pull the trigger and have it go choo-choo. That's really what I just want to run around with at Dragon Con with a gun that goes choo-choo really loud.
Speaking of that, reminds me of a back project I have. There was a company, I don't know if they make them anymore, but they basically made marshmallow blasters that were loosely based off the M8 Avenger.
Yes.
And I just want to slightly modify mine to look more like an M8 Avenger, but then shoot marshmallows at people.
That sounds that's perfect for a Dragon Con as well. Although I do believe if you have anything that actually fires projectiles, that they will kick you right out. I'm gonna guess that's in the weapon policy at Dragon Con.
True, but you don't want to be that guy that escorts the guy with a marshmallow blaster out. I'm sure they've got a worse problem somewhere.
Yeah. Let's see. Pharaoh's Props in the chat is a question about silicone. He says, would you recommend for an aspiring prop maker working on a budget? I'm 14 and I need a good, decently cheap silicone that can be mixed in a ratio of 1:1. Well, why not get silicone that's 10:1, like cheaper tin cure silicone?
I actually still mostly use 10 cures myself.
Yeah, me too.
The 10:1 ratio is not really that hard to work with, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, get a kitchen scale. A lot of this stuff you can get used. So get a kitchen scale. Look at
that's like $5.
Yeah. Mold Max 30 is what I use most of the time. It's the pink kind, and it looks like or OOMOO. Actually, OOMOO is 1:1. I forgot about that.
Yeah, didn't OOMOO go back up in price though?
It's not that bad. So here's what you want to do. Granted, there's still a barrier to entry. You're still going to buy this stuff, but work on a small prop. Go get OOMOO. Is it tin cure? I'm pretty sure it is.
I think it is. I know it's a real fast curing one because it was like a 16-hour or something.
So go on Amazon. You're 14, so you're going to have to get your parents' permission or steal their credit card. Don't do that. That's wrong, but it'll work.
We don't condone credit card theft on this stream.
You try not to. But it's $25, right? So, I mean, I know when I was 14, I didn't have a job, but I did odd jobs around the neighborhood for extra cash. And when I was 14, and this was a long time ago, I could scratch together $25 for the silicone.
They're saying they've used OOMOO. They're looking at other options. And I would go with the Mold Max. Probably. Yeah,
Mold Max.
Or even the Stroke. I think that's like 100 a gallon, and that's brushable. But of course, it's thicker because of that. Yeah,
here is Mold Max 30, which is what I use most of the time. Say the price is the same. It's 10:1 by weight. And I like it a lot. And I just use a little kitchen scale to...
Yeah, I've been using that forever. I've always had great results with that silicone, so yeah.
Yes. So there you go. That's once you dip your toe into that world, you can find plenty of reasons to spend lots of money on silicone.
Yeah.
So I hope you do though. Definitely get into it. $25 is not too big of a barrier to entry.
I mean, if you're making something cool enough, you'll make your money back in no time.
Oh yeah, sell them to all your friends.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for the questions. What do you got coming up, Matt? What are the new projects you're working on?
Well, my year's been interesting because I've actually lost like 50 pounds. So I'm starting to get into shape and wanting to do more like actually like core showing ones. So
finally doing that Princess Leia bikini.
Yeah. Oh man. Watch out, fake nerd boys. But so sent from Drakengard, because I'm a huge Drakengard Nier fan. Yaiba from Show by Rock. Those are my really upcoming ones. And then I want to do something really ambitious this year. So I'm going to try to hit one of my bucket list costumes. It's either going to be Monster Hunter armor, probably like Gore Magala, power armor from Fallout. I've actually been tinkering at the idea of maybe just doing an original armor too, something really just grandiose scale with like some vacuum form illuminated PETG in it and something really crazy. I haven't done anything big.
Is this something we'll be seeing at DragonCon this year?
I was thinking about it. I've been kind of wanting to try BlizzCon. I don't know how they feel about original creations at that, but I thought it'd be fun to do something kind of in that style. And
I showed up in my Skyrim Draugr costume, and no one seemed to mind. Or no, they probably just assumed I was a Death Knight. Sure.
Right. I think those are the big ones, though.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and of course, looking forward to hanging with you at DragonCon this year.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to hang out again before that too.
Yes. Do you have your hotel room already? I know I do.
You know, actually I hadn't. I was gonna I forgot. I need to shoot. I was gonna see if Alyssa had space in hers because I've really been wanting to room with her.
Yeah.
She's just always fun.
Oh yes, and so is DragonCon. Before we roll out of here, everybody, I just wanted to remind you guys, if you head over to Organic Armor Art /courses, they've got some awesome courses over there to show how they make what they make. And if you use the code PunishedProps2015, all one word, you can get like 20 bucks off. So it's totally worth checking out. That's all I've got. Matt, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Chat, you guys are awesome. Thank you for your fantastic questions. And we will, next week, we'll probably go a day early because Thursday is Star Wars Day. So not only will I not be here, but then none of you are going to want to watch me on Thursday. So we will be doing a show next week, but it will probably be on Wednesday. So mark your calendars. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
All right.
And